Hello everyone, this is Dr. Rajesh and I am with you with my new video lecture on array. This is second part, that is array, continuing in this lecture. Now in this lecture we will study how to assess the elements of array and what is unsized array and what is array initialization. These are 3 points that are to be discussed in this lecture. How to assess the elements of array, that question was also asked by the students. Now we will be clearing this doubt. Unsized array, what is unsized array? Sometime in the examination it could be asked that what is unsized array. Now third one, it is what is array initialization. This question could also be asked separately in the examination, that comment upon array initialization and what it is. So we have to give some explanation that we will give through examples here. So we are taking first example to clarify this, how to access the elements of array, and the example is this one. In this, let us see, we have declared an array of size 10. So its size is 10. Size of array is equal to 10. So it will be having elements a0, a1 up to a9. Okay, so we have declared it as int data type array and name of the array is a. Okay, clear screen is used to clear the any garbage work that is being done before your use. The previous users that have done that will clear the output screen. Now this for you loop we have used, and what are the limits for loop? In this variable I is declared as int type and it is initialized to 0, and this loop will run from 0 to less than 10. Means this loop will run from I is equal to 0, 1, 2 up to 9 only, so that we can access corresponding to 0 we will access a0, corresponding to 1 we will access a1, and corresponding to 9 we will access a9. So this way this for loop is used to assess the elements of array. And in the last lecture I have told you that with use of array, that gives us the flexibility to use the for loop. So here we have used the for loop to assess the elements of array. Here inside for loop, the first statement is that enter the value of a %di. It will be corresponding to, firstly for i0 it will ask for the value of a0, then that value will be scanned, and scanning is also under the criteria of assessing. It will be with ampersand, from address it will be scanned. Ampersand is used to scan the array and the name will be as such. For I it will be a0, okay, and for 1 it will be a0 for first, that will be scanned at the address. This corresponds to address of a0, address of a1. So this way it will be scanned. Every element will be scanned whichever user have entered. Now we have scanned the values of a0, a1 and a9. So this loop has done the scanning. Now assessing is now printing. The next part is printing. Now this value a0, again we use the for loop. For I is equal to 0, this a0 will be equal to %d. This format specifier is for corresponding to first, this I, first variable I that is written here, and the second format specifier, this is the format specifier. This format specifier is corresponding to second variable, that for I0 it will be a0, for 1 it will be a1. So this will be printed here. So with using this loop it is running from 0 to 9 again, it is 9 again. Okay, so this loop is being used to print the value of array from a0 to a9 that we have scanned. So this get ch is to stop the screen, and return 0 is the return type of the main program. So that is closed here. So in this we have just scanned the entered data by the user using this for loop, and when the all scanning has been done, through the next for loop we have printed the required data that is entered by the user, and the output of this program is given as this one. Look over here, when for I is equal to 0, it will ask enter the value of a naught. So it is asking enter the value of a naught. User entered 1, then that value is scanned. Now next it will be incremented I1. For I1 it will again ask enter the value of a1. User entered 2, then it will be again incremented, again ask a2, a3, and so on. It will ask the value, and there the user have entered 1 2 3 4 6 7 90 76 45 and 4. These values now have been scanned by the compiler. Now next is to print them. Whatever value have been scanned, the next for loop will print them. For I is equal to 0, a percent I is 0, so a0 equal to colon percent d corresponding to this variable a naught. So this variable was having value 1. This will be printed. Similarly a1 will be printed, and so on. All the 10 values of the array will be printed. So in this we have learned how to access the elements of array. That can be done using the for loop. Now we will cover the next question, unsized array. Now unsized array, this is very interesting question. If we mention the size of the array like 10, so it is 10 elements array, 20, it is 20 elements array, and if we keep this as empty, then this is unsized array. It has no size, so it can be assigned any number of elements, and based upon the number of elements assigned to it, compiler itself assigns the size and memory to it. So compiler itself assigns the size and memory to this unsized array, and declaration of this unsized array is done something like int on the same lines. Just keep this empty. It can store 100 elements, it can store 1000 elements, it can store 2000 elements. Any number of elements can be stored, and it is the responsibility and the duty of the compiler to assign the requisite memory as per the requirement of the question, as per the requirement of the program. The requisite memory is automatically assigned to it. So this is called unsized array when that size is we didn't mention here and it is left empty. So this is unsized array. This could be asked in the examination, what is unsized array. Next we will be learning that what is array initialization. That is the third topic of this lecture, that what is array initialization. Array initialization is to assign it some particular value while declaring it is called array initialization. And how array initialization is done we will learn in one dimension as well as in two dimension. So we will be dealing it in one dimension and two dimension. So we will be dealing array initialization in one dimension and two dimension. So that we will be dealing, and we will taking two separate examples. Now come over here, we will see the through the example of one dimensional array initialization, and the example is given by this one here. Look, we have declared an array of size 10 of int data type, and at the same time when it is declared we have assigned it within the curly braces 10 values. A naught here is assigned value 0, a1 is assigned the 2, and so on. Last a9 is assigned the value 10. So when we assign the value at the same time when the variable is declared, that statement is called initialization. And when it is done in case of array, one dimensional array, it is called array initialization. Okay, so this is array initialization, and how it is done within the curly braces. Each value is separated by the comma. This value corresponding to value of a0, a1, a2, a3, a4, a5, a6, a7, a8 and a9. Fine, this is the statement, and the at last we have also declared I. This is the indexing variable for the for loop. So this for loop will run from 0 to 9. Now we don't need to scan the values because values are already assigned, so it is known to the compiler. We don't need to ask from the user. These are already entered by the user at the declaration stage, so that is why that statement is called initialization. Now we only need to print the requisite value that are initialized. So here we again use the two format specifier. The first one is corresponding to ai, that is for I variable. First format specifier, that is a0 value will be equal to this one. This second one is corresponding to a0. Here the variable is a0 for I is equal to 0. Similarly for I is equal to 1. So the output will be something like this one. For I is equal to 0, it will be a0 will be printed as 1, which was assigned 1 value. Okay, this will be a0. This a0 will be printed 1. Okay, for I is equal to 1, a1 then equal to is printed as 2, which was assigned the value 2. a1 was assigned 2, and so on. At the end, a9 will be printed 10. So this is what is called array initialization, means to initialize the array at the time of declaring. It is called array initialization, and once it has been initialized, we don't need to scan the elements because those are already initialized. We only need to print or access those elements in the programming, in the given statements following the initialization statement. So here we have used in the print statement, and the output is given by this one. So this is the array initialization in case of single dimensional array. Now next we will see that how array initialization is done in case of two dimensional array. The two dimensional array example is given by this one. Here you see we have declared two-dimensional array of size 4 by 4. This is two-dimensional array of size 4 by 4. Row length is 4 and column length is 4. So its first element will be a0 0. Next will be row element, next a0 1, and so on. Something like its element will be. Now we have declared the array of 4 by 4 size. At the same time, when it is declared, we have assigned it the values. Okay, it is, since 4 by 4, it will be having 16 elements. Like it will be having 16 elements. It will be 0 0, it will be 0 1, 0 2 and 0 3. This is the first row. So the first row is assigned the value in the curly braces, and the curly braces is this and this. 4 elements are put up, 1 2 2 3. In the for the next row, okay, we will be having 1 2 3 and 4 rows. For the next row, the value is initialized again, that is separated by comma. This is enclosed within the curly braces for the next row, and that next row contains the element like a1 0, a1 1, a1 2, a1 3. So these are the elements of second row, and these are initialized like 3 4 4 5 and closed within the curly. Similarly, third row elements and fourth row elements are initialized and are enclosed within the curly braces. and this is closed, and this is the two-dimensional array initialization, and this variable I and j are the indexing variables for the for loop. Now we will be having two for loops, one for loop within the other, so this is called nested for loop. This is called nested for loop, means one for loop within the other for loop. So once for I is equal to 0, this loop will iterate in its entirety from j is equal to 0 to j is equal to 3. So this for I is equal to 0, the first row will be printed. Like here, I will be 0, I will be 0, j will be 0, j will be 1, j will be 2, j will be 3. Okay, inner loop will iterate in its full, then I will increment to 1, and then it will again be j0, j1, j2 and j3. So similarly, this I is equal to 0, this j iterate in its full range, then I is again incremented for I is equal to 1, this is again iterated in its full range, and so on. So this is the value, this is the print statement we have used for the value of a to get it printed. And after every row we have entered the two new line character, so that two rows are separated in the output window. So this is a percent means I, percent j specifier for j variable. So this is a note for first element, this is third is for corresponding to, that is how you access the array element, third two-dimensional array element ai j. So this is the print statement, and this is the tab character that I have used so as to give the space between the row elements of the array. And when we will run this program, the output of the program will be something like this one. First element for I0, J0 is printed as 1. Second for I0 and J will increment to 1, printed as 2, 2. A I0, J is incremented to 2. Inner loop will run to its full for one value of I0 corresponding to it is running in full. It is 2, it is 2. I0, J3, it is 3, and J can be only up to 3. Okay, now next I is incremented to I plus plus, it will be 1 incremented by 1, then it will be 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, and values are 3, 4, 4, 5, 3, 4, 4, 5. Similarly, all the values are printed. And see, when this for I is equal to 0, one loop, inner loop is completed, two new lines, this, see this gap, this is two new lines are created once the inner loop iterates itself for once. And for every print statement in the inner loop, a tab character is generated. This difference between the two is due to tab character, and this difference is due to new line character, this new line character. So this is the output and of the two-dimensional array which was initialized earlier, and we have learned how to access the element, like we have accessed the element to print it in the output window. So that is called array initialization. So in this lecture we have learned that what is unsized array, how to access the elements of array, and what is array initialization. This is all I have from this lecture. In the next lecture we will be dealing with some interesting topic of C language, and if you have liked the video, please like, subscribe, share and comment. This is Dr. Rajesh saying you goodbye. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching.